Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of the TV is Our Real Mom podcast. I'm your host, Dave, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, my sister, Katie. Katie, what's popping?
Well, it's Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. We've waited an entire week to do this recap, but I still remember what happened, so I think I'm ready to go.
Awesome. I don't remember. There was a lot that happened. I mean, it's a long episode.
True.
So I don't
Yeah.
remember everything that happened, but I don't think we're here to recap the finale.
No, it's
And
been
I don't,
rehashed. I mean, there's things I want to comment on.
okay. And I don't want to say anything that's already been said. I mean, what are we going to, it's already been
Well, then
talked
we might
about.
as well just not discuss anything.
It's already been talked about for a week. What are we going to add to the conversation, really? So let's just talk about whatever you want to talk about regarding the whole season and the finale, and
Right.
go from there. Okay.
Yes, that
All
sounds like
right.
a plan.
So, are you pleased with the outcome of Ghost Island?
Obviously, I'm pleased. I mean, I knew as soon as, and we talked about this last season because there was rumors going around that 35 was going to be a tie, and I was like, well, they'll have to vote right there because they can't, Laurel or whoever it would have been back then, Ryan, couldn't have like 6 months at home to sit and think about it and watch it back and then vote. So at least we got our answer there. But yeah, I knew as soon as he said, I'm going to count the votes, that it was a tie, as everybody probably did.
Yeah, it
But it
was
was still really
pretty
cool.
obvious at that point.
Yeah, because why else would he do it?
Right.
But
Right.
it was still fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting, albeit consistent with the rest of the season. Predictable. I mean, I kind of predicted I mean, who could really predict a tie? But I mean, I knew it was highly possible more than ever before.
Yeah, but that didn't take away from the shock of it. Like, I think we even mentioned in our podcast that it could be a tie. And maybe we even said that Laurel would have to break the tie, but it still didn't take away. Even though I kind of saw it coming, it didn't like take away from the giganticness of the moment. Like, it was a big deal. It felt like a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Even though you could see it coming. And I can't think of a more perfect ending for the season. And it paints everything else in looking back on it in a different light, because now you could go back and watch the season and you would see all the way through it was the story of Dominic and Wendell. And these editors know that when they go to edit a season, and every season has to be a different kind of a story. And, I think they did a good job, all said and done. Like,
yeah,
I'm really over fans bitching about stuff sucking. So, like, I never was really, maybe it's because I liked Dominic and Wendell, but I never was, like, down on the season, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I find it incredibly predictable, and I'm disappointed with Wendell as a winner personally, because I'm the same person who was disappointed that Tyson won. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like the predictable, like, obvious, like, guy who owns the game.
So you're telling me you'd be more satisfied today if you were sitting here looking at, like, Angela as the winner just because it was more unpredictable, and even though she sucks?
Absolutely not. But I would have rather had Dominic personally.
Dominic would have been more predictable than Wendell, in my opinion. And Dominic's archetype has won in the past. So I think it was interesting to see somebody else pull it off.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's how I feel about it, honestly.
I think there's a lot we didn't see as far as Wendell's game. Like, and even with what we saw, we all were saying how they were equally matched. And so all these people and a lot of the casuals are super upset that Dominic didn't win. He was robbed. And I'm like, he was not robbed. He was sitting there with someone who was his equal in every way. Just because he wasn't flashy about stuff, he was making decisions with Dominic.
Yeah, no, I think Wendell absolutely deserved to win, and they were, probably almost equally as predictable. I just felt like after our last time we podcasted, it was pretty obvious. I was convinced Wendell was going to win. I thought that was the more predictable outcome, but yeah, he's definitely the most deserving winner on the season. So there's that. Um, and once again, I just don't know if I can be pleased personally. Like,
It
I
all
just
comes
don't know.
down to, I think that's just fans in general. Like, and I'm not like that. Like, I think I am easy to please. But
I don't know about that.
well, like we've talked
Let's not
about
get
this.
carried away here. If you
I
were
think
easy to please, you'd be okay with last year's winner or last
no,
season.
that was fundamental betrayal of the morals and integrity of Survivor that I was upset with. So
Right.
that was something different. But you're right. I would have been upset with no matter how Ben won because I didn't like Ben.
Right. Well,
Um,
yeah.
but I don't know. I guess I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just there's so much like vitriol when things don't go the way fans want them to go that I'm just really tired of it. So I'm not gonna do the same thing. But I don't have to because the guy I wanted to win won. So what am I gonna bitch about?
Yeah. And me personally, I don't hate this season. It's just too
High praise.
it was too predictable to be awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. Middle of the road, but I kind of liked. We'll remember it as one of the best duos ever.
Right.
So,
The whole Dominic Wendell thing, yeah, is super memorable. I mean, the two of them going head to head, you know, leagues beyond everybody else, that it
mhm.
just came down to those two competing one on one. And so that's
Yeah,
a unique situation. And that makes the season better, even though it was predictable.
there was a stretch there where it was not great. It was not great. I agree with you
Yeah, and I
because it
agree with
seemed like Dominic
everyone
and Wendell
else.
didn't
Yeah.
even have to work that hard. Like it just they were smart and they got rid of the big players first and they were left with just these duds. And then it was just easy for them. And that's ideally as a player how you want to play, but how we say over and over again, a good game does not always equal good TV.
Yeah, that's true, man. Like Shane was on did you listen to Shane on Rob has a podcast?
No.
uh yeah, he kept, pitching that, if you go on Survivor, don't make good TV for us, Try
Yeah,
to
you
win.
shouldn't worry
Try to
about that.
win. And that's
Yeah.
basically what Wendell did. He's like, I don't care that this is easy and predictable. Like I
Mhm.
want to win the game.
Yeah, he made the moves he needed to make to win. And when people make moves for the sake of making moves like Zeke and Game Changers, the fans turn on him too. So it's like, well, we're like you. We're just impossible to please.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
but this was a pretty fun journey. If you look at it through their eyes, Dom and Wendell, I mean, it was an interesting journey to watch. And their only bump in the road, honestly, was that third vote. That was it. Like they were down and out. And we were like worried about them for like a second, but then it was over
Yeah, I
when
totally
they teamed
forgot.
up with Laurel and Donovan.
I
Yeah.
totally forgot about that part in the season. But yeah, there was one point where they had their backs against the wall and they didn't really, it wasn't really that bad. They
Well,
didn't really
it
have
led
to.
to their defining game-winning like move by teaming up with Laurel and Donovan. Like that got them to the end.
But to be honest, if that didn't happen, they probably would have found a different path, maybe an even
Yeah,
easier one.
you're right. You're probably right
They
because it
probably would have
was
steamrolled with Navidi and like all Malolos were gone, and then somehow they pick apart the Navidi. Like they would have found a way.
they would have found a way.
They were just that good. I mean,
They
they were.
were. They were just and they made it look easy.
Yep.
So I got a little annoyed listening to Robin and Josh talk about the season because they didn't understand why anyone would be upset after the final six tribal council at how Dominic acted. And I remember furiously texting my mom and my sister, being physically mad at them during that point. And if I'm at home on my couch feeling uncomfortable from what he's doing, how is poor Donathan and not even Sebastian who ends up going home there, but Donathan was the focus of that. Like the way they treated Donathan was so unnecessary and so mean. And I know it was an act mostly, but I knew it was a bad look for the jury. So what did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, he overplayed that big time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. I like the idea behind it.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's got a lot to do to outshine Wendell.
Yeah.
So he had to do something, and that's what was so cool about the finale. One of the best parts about it was they're going head to head, and they're like watching their little performances in front of tribal council, because like it's not about like survival anymore for them. It's like
Hmm.
they're thriving and they're like trying to like one up each other. So
Hmm.
Dominic's move there was necessary, but like there was a lot about it that was just really, I mean, he just laid it on too thick,
Hmm.
way over the top, way unnecessary, way too mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's obvious, and I agree with, I get your frustration with people who can't see that.
Like, turn off the game botness for 1 second and look at it and go rewatch it and look at how Donathan looked in that moment. It was bad. It was kind of like the way Culpepper was berating Ty in Game Changers. And I was like, nope, Brad Culpepper's done in my book. And he did not win either. So,
Right. I mean, there was a point in that season where like Brad Culpepper looks good, like people like him, and that was one of the turning points where it was like he's starting to get a different look, and
mhm.
that's how he's going to lose.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, and it sounded like Dominic said several times he was aware that he could come off. Didn't Wendell even tell him in the final tribal council to like tone it down? And I was like, Wendell, don't tell him that and let him screw up, you know? But
Yeah.
like he knew that about himself, but he's just the showman, I guess, is always gonna win out.
I was a little surprised Dominic didn't win based on the final tribal council, you know, because like I don't know
Yeah.
if it was just edited that way, but Dominic sold himself really well, and they cut it that way to make it, you know, look like the jury bought everything he was selling. Oh, not
Yeah,
to
and
mention Wendell being under edited. So
yeah, when they first started going in on Wendell, I was like, man, this jury hates Wendell. Why do they hate Wendell? I don't get
yeah,
it.
they
But
really edited it that way.
they did, and then I heard someone, I think it might have been Kellen afterwards, who was talking about how Wendell crushed it in the final tribal council, and I was like, that's not what we saw. So maybe
Right.
like they were trying to make us think Dominic could win, and he almost did win. So I mean, it's not like it was a trick of editing.
Right, but like you said, as soon as he said he's reading the votes here, or he's about to read the votes,
You knew Wendell.
you know Wendell won,
Yeah.
because you quickly do the
Yeah.
math. You're like, okay, that
Yeah.
means it's a tie. That means Laurel gets a vote. That means Wendell
Yeah.
wins.
Yeah, but it was a formality. I felt bad for Dominic because you could kind of see it. He kind of puts his head in his hands, and you kind of
He
the
knew he
wheels
lost.
turned for him too, and he knew. But we saw all season long Wendell working on Laurel and keeping her close and forging that relationship and giving her his necklace, even though he didn't need to. Like, I mean, that all makes a lot of sense now.
So do you think that necklace move was like the thing? Like if he hadn't done that, would she maybe voted for Dominic, or was
No,
it?
but I think it's symbolic of what ultimately wins him the game, and that's his relationship with Laurel and really his relationships with the people that voted for him. So I think it was more of a symbol, and it's kind of cool that it was used at the Final Five Tribal Council, just like Eric used it. But instead of using it to get his ass voted out of the game, he used it to basically seal his victory in
Yeah,
the game.
Rob pointed that out in the podcast, and
Yeah,
that blew my mind. I was like,
the
"Holy shit!"
parallels are freaky.
I didn't
Yeah,
even think about that. That's
yeah.
crazy, man.
I
Um,
don't like the fact. I will say I don't like the fact that idols can be used at five when there's a final four, you know, fire making challenge and not an actual vote. I don't think they should be allowed at five. But in this case, I guess it wasn't necessary, but it still was effective on the jury, I think.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yeah. Wendell has a way of like expressing his love or friendship through materials.
That's
It's like
true.
that's what he did with Sebastian with the shell thing, and
Yeah.
he kept harping on how like I built stuff for everybody, like I built you
Yeah.
tool sheds and
Well, he
stuff.
did. He made a backpack. That backpack he was wearing, he made that.
Out of what?
I don't know. Like a bag? Like a sack? I
He
don't
made a
know.
bag out of a bag. I
I
can do
guess
that.
maybe it's not that impressive.
I made a smaller bag out of a bigger bag.
I don't know. I don't know. Just all of a sudden, Wendell was running around wearing a backpack, and I was like, "Where'd that backpack come from?" And then I read that he made it.
That's pretty neato.
Neato. I was gonna say something else. Crap.
Eh,
I I really liked after the first immunity challenge when Wendell won and he said Jeff Probst. He yelled his name.
yeah,
That was classic because it was
that
right
was
after
fun.
that whole
Yeah.
fiasco.
What'd you think of the reunion show?
It was terrible. Really, really bad. It was half an hour with commercials, so they really gave it no chance. And for it to be that short and to still try to squeeze in Kevin Hart, like, no.
Right. And I heard, other people talking in their podcasts, pointing out that it really looked like Jeff Probst was not really wanting to do this.
I feel like Jeff Probst loved it because he got to be taller than somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice that it seemed like Jeff wasn't into it, but apparently it was obvious to other people that he's like, I don't want to be doing this. Sorry, you guys.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that either. I feel because Jeff Probst was like hyping it up in an interview I read earlier that day. So I was like, oh, he's excited about, or he's just doing his job.
He's
Whatever.
just doing his job, and that's the truth of it,
He's good at doing his job, so he can mask it. I guess not good enough for some people, but
I mean, like Kevin Hart's funny and all, but like, man, that's
Kevin
just
Hart sounded rough. Kevin Hart sounded like he'd been out partying the night before.
it's just an ugly. The whole thing is ugly,
It
Like
really.
Kevin Hart doesn't watch Survivor. Like,
I
why are you bringing him in there? Why are you doing that shit? No one's gonna watch that show because you brought
well,
him
yeah,
on.
it's this summer's Candy Crush. It's gonna go
Like,
away.
it obviously doesn't work. Like the
No,
the cross promotion shit, it doesn't work. We don't watch Survivor because it's like a family game show.
I
There's a whole
tolerate CBS because and only because of Survivor.
yeah. I mean, I guess they had How I Met Your Mother.
I hate
So
that show. I've always hated that show.
I know. I'm just joking. Yeah.
Oh, you're being okay. Well, they have some football games sometimes, but
Yeah.
usually not the
Every once in a while, they have a game on. They have a football
once in a
game.
while.
Yeah.
But what else are they good for? Hey, did you know Sebastian was drunk at the final tribal council?
I heard that. Yeah. That's
You
that
know,
makes sense. Looking at him, he was pretty something. I don't know
I
if maybe
watched
like a
his
camera guy got him some herb
or
or
yeah, both.
yeah, both. I'm sure.
I watched his Ponderosa though, and that guy is a gem. Like, what a I wish we'd have seen more of him. Like his gameplay sucked, sure, but he was hilarious. He was just a weirdo, a wonderful little weirdo.
What did he do?
Well, he like gave everybody their spirit animal. He had like these toys of animals and he gave everybody a spirit animal and told them why that was a spirit animal. Now I don't remember any of them because it was like a week ago. But I think for Michael, he gave him like a mud dwelling warthog or something. I don't know. It was really funny.
That sounds right. Actually, I could
And
see
when he
Mike.
was like out in the ocean, he was like out in the ocean with Michael and Chris, and they were like holding hands as he was like giving. I don't know. It was just really precious and funny, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, Seabass is cool. We can get him
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Let's bring him back.
There, you say that every week about everybody who goes home.
Yeah. Well, I like the cast. I do like all
It
the
was a
people.
good cast. That's why it was so disappointing the way it went down,
Yeah,
Mostly.
there's just nobody tried hard enough to do anything to shift the power, and that like we say, there's no pleasing us because the shift of power would have meant we lose Wendell, So like,
Yeah, I
is
would
that
have been
worth it?
devastated.
Yeah, I don't know,
But
man.
I have been devastated by Survivor before, and I've picked up the pieces and moved on and
So
forgotten about it in a couple weeks.
in a excuse me,
That's okay.
in a parallel universe, if like the completely shifted, totally different season, same cast,
Hmm.
like who are like the top three and who wins? So it would be Malolo. So if Malolo was in power, who would
If
win?
Malolo was in power, I think you have the Michael, Brendan. Actually, I think that Michael, Brendan, and Libby are like the Kellen faction, and then eventually, like Laurel and James and Donathan rise up and kind of split things up.
But Laurel and Jonathan made it to the top 5 in the
Yeah,
normal
but
one.
if they have
This isn't
control of
opposite. This isn't opposite enough.
Well, they're Malolo, so you want me to pick two Navides to throw in there?
Yeah, like two
Okay,
Navides that are and I think you were more on the right track with like it was Brendan, like
Libby and Michael.
Brendan, Libby, and Michael were in power. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
in the parallel universe. This is
and
the
so their Navides would probably be Bradley and Kellen.
yeah, that makes sense.
It's kind of a season I'm glad I didn't see,
Wait,
to
what
be
about
honest.
no? What about Stephanie Johnson? Throw Stephanie Johnson in there.
No,
She still
no,
doesn't make it. What?
I don't think so.
Why? Why this sudden turn on Stephanie Johnson? What the hell is this
Because
about?
it's all weird how she didn't go to the finale and she's like,
What do you know?
oh,
What do you know about it? Tell us what you know.
I
You know
don't know
everything.
anything. Everyone's saying that's because she's on season 38. And I'm like, give me a break. No, Jeff Probst is also on season 38 and he was at the finale. So that excuse doesn't hold any water. Um, no, I think she's just going through personal crap and she's like, couldn't fade, didn't want to go. I think that's all it was.
Can
And
we
it's
find?
not my place to judge that, but I don't think that, I just think she wouldn't make it to the end. I think they
Can,
would see her as a threat and she might have try to poison people and have outbursts and they would get rid of her.
oh yeah, I forgot about the poison thing.
Yeah, that was something that happened.
I liked her though. I was rooting for her at one point.
Yeah, I just think something would have happened, but who am I? I don't know anything.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the end of that little thing.
Yeah. Um, what else can we discuss?
Oh,
If who, in your honest opinion, let's say three people from this season come back. Who are those three people? I don't
oh
think I'm gonna
shoot.
like the answer.
You don't think they'll bring back Stephanie Johnson ever?
No, she
Okay.
didn't even come to the reunion. I feel like if you don't come to the reunion, you're cutting your ties. Like you're not
Well,
welcome again.
as much as I'm not sure people, I think people are already like Dominic out, but like I think
Yeah,
CBS wants to bring Dominic back just because he's so. They try to bring back people who get the whole process. Like
yeah.
this is a TV show, and you have a job to do when you're there. They want you to give them gold, and Dominic is good at that. So I think they'll bring back Dominic. Um,
Dominic,
you
Kellen, and Michael. That's who I would say.
can cross Laurel right out. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, Laurel seems like exactly the type of person that I would be friends with in my
Right.
normal life.
Hmm.
But as far as like a compelling TV character, not so much. And probably would have been great at Survivor if she just would have done something to flip the power structure. You know,
I mean, she ended up with 0 votes, so
she could have done something.
like it couldn't have been any worse. I mean, she gets 0 votes if she gets fifth place too, so it's like the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, did we say this a couple of weeks ago? How stupid that is to say, like, okay, this is good math, right? If if I split the votes, if I get the votes split between Dominic and Wendell, I'll pick up the scraps and I'll win. No, that just means you'll end up with 0 votes and
Yeah,
everybody will
that
vote
was
for
exactly
that.
my thought when she prognosticated that theory. I was like, "You're thinking there's 4 people who aren't going to vote for Dom or Wendell? You're crazy."
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think maybe she was just grasping at some like logic to make her decision to go to the end with those two make sense. And
right.
I felt kind of bad for her going into the episode, but then she had that meltdown after they didn't take her on the reward, which was a bad look. And she also was like, I don't really know how to make fire. And I was like, girl, you got to give me something. But like it was just, it was frustrating to watch.
I love Dom's thinking in that moment when he has to choose between the urns and he does have that thought
Hmm.
of why don't I take the power into my own hands? Why don't I knock Wendell out myself? Because my only chance is I gotta get him out of here, and I
Hmm.
can't count on Angela and Laurel to do it. How sweet would that have been? I
It
mean,
would have been pretty
it
epic.
would have been undeniably a great
Yeah.
move. I think Dominic becomes one of the top winners of all time because it's like we love agency. We love people like swinging for the fences and making their own fate, and that would have been awesome. Granted,
But
I
if he
don't.
lost,
Yeah, they'd be like, "You idiot! You could have gone to the finals."
it was super extremes, like those outcomes. But like the way Wendell made that fire, like it was just no
it,
big thing. And I
it
would
was
look Dominic
effortless.
in the eyes. I wouldn't want to go against him.
Just
for
like
the
everything Wendell
yeah,
did in the game, it was effortless.
yeah. It seemed like it. I
But
gotta be
yeah,
honest, I walked away because I was triggered from last season's fire making challenge. So I walked away for most of it. And then I heard that he had a flame going. So then I was like, okay, it's okay to come back. But it really like set me off. I was like, I don't want to watch this right now. Because it happened again. My favorite player, the one I wanted to win, has to be in this position. The outcome was different, but so maybe we should discuss like 2 seasons in this fire making business. Like now this is 2 times that someone won that wouldn't have won pre-season 35. They would have been the fallen angel.
right.
And here they are
Same.
winning.
But yeah, I heard it said somewhere, and I completely agree. This is exactly what production wants. I mean, production is getting exactly what they wanted. This is why they started doing that. They wanted a way to save the fallen angels without screwing with the integrity of the game too much. So they found something that's working for them to get the desired outcome. So of course they're happy.
Are you happy?
I mean, we got a deserving winner out of it. Like,
Yeah.
what happens if I'm trying to think how this could have gone down. Well, Wendell would have gone home, and then you'd have a final three of what? Laurel, Angela, and Dominic. And
Oh boy,
Dominic,
that would have been bad.
Dominic sweeps it, and Dominic's
Yeah.
a deserving winner. But
Yeah.
this was much more exciting. So I guess I also heard it said small pool size. That's true. We got two. We got two to base it
Yeah.
on. So
It'll just be interesting to see if it continues to save the fallen angel or if it kind of backfires and people kind of figure out how to play the fire making twist. Like,
yeah, exactly.
you're gonna start seeing a Dominic there with a Laurel, Angela, and Seabass instead of. But I think the Dom and Wendell was a unique partnership.
They just couldn't get rid of each other. They were already looking to cut each other at like 5 or 6.
But they had too many stupid advantages.
Although Wendell did have a chance to get rid of Dominic at like 6, was it, or 5, or one of those two?
How?
I forget, but that was talked about a lot in the podcast too. Just know that I have listened to all of the podcasts, all of the Rob.
Well, yeah, it's been a week at this point.
I've listened to all of those at this point, so I don't know which ideas are my own anymore. Just know this. I'm throwing out ideas that have already been talked about.
Did you feel content?
But somebody said Wendell had a chance to cut Dominic, and he should have, and that was a dumb move, and he got lucky.
When did he have a realistic chance to cut Dominic?
I think it was
at final 6 when he heard about the plan?
Yeah, I think it was at 6 he could have cut Dominic, and he didn't. He went along with him.
But Angela told Dominic, so I don't understand how he could have.
I might have it wrong. I thought it was 6. I don't know.
I don't know when he could have, at least in the finale, which is the only thing fresh in my mind. But I don't know when he could have.
So we're going to bring Angela back, right?
No. Like, she somehow went down in my book. Like, I thought very little of her as a player. And then when she, for no reason whatsoever, told Dominic about the plan, it was like, oh, just stop it. Just put her out of her misery. Put all of this out of its misery. Oh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, the sense of shame I felt on her behalf was deep.
that was
I was groaning deep. So loudly at that part. It was just unbelievable.
I knew because they zoomed in on her as Donathan or whoever was
you knew
saying the plan, and I was like, that bitch is gonna go tell him right
you knew
now.
It was coming.
And
as soon as she said the thing, she's like, she's like, I'm feeling a sense of power. I'm like, no.
She mistakes power with sharing your knowledge. Power is holding on to your knowledge.
Right. Knowledge is power, but it's how you use it. It
doesn't just make you more powerful to have knowledge so that you immediately spew it on everybody. You have to use it in a way that's going to benefit you, and she did not. It did not benefit her.
Spewing knowledge could be beneficial in the right context, but in this context, that was the exact wrong thing to do.
It was the most wrong thing to do I've ever seen in like a long time on Survivor.
I know. It just made her look even worse. I'm sorry, Angela. That was terrible.
She's lower. She's the lowest.
Yeah. And you could tell she was deteriorating out there. And
I guess
that came out. I was not surprised in the least when people were like, yeah, Angela was like dying out there. Because you could really tell, like, her eyes were really wonky. She couldn't process thoughts.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe that's partially to blame, but
Yeah, I'd,
still,
I'd I'd put some of the blame on that.
some.
Hmm. Yeah. So, anyways, what else?
What else?
Any big picture stuff about the season?
I was never as down on the season as others were, but I understand the frustration. If it had been two unlikable players out in front, like Ben and Chrissy last year, I probably would have been saying the same thing.
Hmm.
And I kind of was last season because you kind of knew it was going to be Ben and Chrissy and Ryan at the end, and I was frustrated with it. But because I liked, and a lot of people liked Dominic and Wendell, and I liked the way they played, I wasn't as frustrated with it. But
It's not
you
as
know,
fun. It's
it's
not
not
as
as
fun
fun.
as the like Kageons, you know.
You know what I would have liked to have seen, like one of them get taken out, and then the other one have to scrap their way to the end. That would have been really interesting.
Yeah, and I think Dominic almost is more exciting in that role, you know.
Yeah, well, it would have been interesting to see what they would have come up with. Wendell
Either,
probably would
yeah,
have come up with something too.
either way, yeah, it would have been a lot more interesting.
Yep.
Um, yeah, totally predictable.
Are you excited about David versus Goliath?
Yeah, I mean, I like the theme. I think that's I've always said like I always cheer for the underdog. So
Well, you're gonna have a whole tribe of underdogs.
and my name is David, so I
And
mean,
true.
like
So you
even
like you
better.
know what team you're cheering for. So
It's making me wish I would have gone hard auditioning for this season because I could have been the David on the tribe of
yeah, you
David.
could have.
Because there's no way I'm on the Goliath tribe. I'm sorry,
No.
but yeah,
We have
I'm
a
rooting.
literal Goliath on that tribe.
Yeah, which is perfect. You got to have that character.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Hmm.
Um, I love underdogs, so obviously I'll be pulling for the David tribe all the way.
What if you
I
end up
actually
liking a few people on the Goliath tribe?
I don't foresee that. I think
A
there's
whole tribe you're gonna hate?
well there'll be one or two. I just don't foresee me rooting for anybody on the
Hmm.
Goliath tribe. I foresee a David winner. I don't see a way Goliath wins that season because like in
So
the
you think it's like a heroes or like a fans versus favorites thing where it's like set up for the Davids to win?
yeah, I mean it's all narrative. I think people are gonna buy. I think the jury is gonna buy the David narrative more than they're gonna buy Goliath. The only chance Goliath has is if they all go to the end, like all
Hmm.
three are Goliaths, then they
Hmm.
win. But otherwise, the David is gonna win that story because Jeff's gonna be drilled into their brains the whole damn season.
Yeah.
David came from behind and beat Goliath, like.
It's true. We got to prepare ourselves for that.
And yeah, if you go back to this season, starting from the beginning, I was just watching the first, just before we started this, I was just watching the first scene of the season.
Mhm.
And, you know, the whole story is like, who will break the curse? And when Jeff says, who will break the curse, the camera shoots to Wendell's face, you know, like, so it's like, it's all about the story of the season. So,
It'd be interesting
David,
to go back and like watch all the first episodes and see what
all
kind of
this.
shot does the winner first appear in.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's not always that spot on, but
No,
you wouldn't notice when you're first starting the season, you
exactly.
know.
You
But
have to
looking
go
back,
back and watch.
yeah, and that little exercise I was doing there, it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. Like, just watch
Interesting.
that, knowing what happens. Just watch that first little bit,
Good
especially the part where
advice.
Jeff sets it up. You know, he's like setting up the season, and then the camera will cut to certain people when he, you know, when he
And it's
says it.
telling.
It's telling. It is,
Huh.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Or
Good to know.
maybe you can just interpret it that way, but it sure seemed like it was very intentional.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I bet it was. I
Hmm.
bet the editors are like, huh, I'm going to be sly. They don't know, but they
Right.
will.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I would
Yeah,
if
I would too.
if I was
I would
that
def-
good. You know.
And I feel like you
Um.
should. It's a little Easter egg for the fans after the season's
But
over.
yeah, I really went on a rant there. What are your thoughts on David and Goliath as a season?
Uh, you know, excuse me while I yawn.
I
Um,
try to set
I
you up to say something
I do
exciting.
like it, but I do
Yawn.
think you're right in that it's kind of like everyone's supposed to cheer against the Goliaths and cheer for the Davids.
Right.
And
So,
that's just the story, how the story is supposed to be. Because all they said is like in their little preview, all they said was every David has a secret weapon and every Goliath has an Achilles heel. And they're just telling the story of David taking down Goliath.
Exactly. They already spoiled the season.
Like, is that it? Should we even bother getting to know these Goliaths? Maybe those douchebags who were posting crap on Instagram are Goliaths, and then if that's the case, we don't have to worry about them. So, but I'm not, I just don't know why they'd want us to like feel we need to invest in one tribe only. But then you have people on that tribe who are like already famous because they're Goliaths, I suppose. But I mean, they're gonna have fans.
Who's famous on that tribe?
Well, that wrestler guy, and
Oh, I don't know who that is.
I don't know who it is either, but a lot of wrestling fans like Survivor, so they'll know who he is. And Mike White, the School of Rock guy.
School of Rock. Oh, is he on that season?
Yeah, he's on the Goliath tribe.
Why is he on Goliath? Because he's
He's a titan of his industry, because he's successful. It's not defined as like giant big people. It's giant by like people who've used their advantage or whatever to get ahead and do well in the world.
Okay, that's cool.
Because if you define it by those terms, that'd be kind of limiting, I think.
So yeah, the only person I remember from the whole thing was the nerdiest nerdy little dude.
Oh, I know. I'm worried for him.
But like, he very well could win because it fits the story arc, and he's the first person or the only person I remember. And
I worry about him though, because the producers are gonna like him. And then he's going to get shoved down our throats, and all the fans are going to be like, oh, he's trying too hard. Like Ryan and whatever.
I don't know that he's going to be that slick. I think he's going to actually be more endearing, like kind of like maybe.
Like Donathan was?
Yeah.
I liked Donathan throughout the season, but I'm sure some people probably didn't.
Yeah. I don't know.
But he didn't have a backlash against him.
So this guy's the only one I remember from the preview, kind of like Wendell is the only one I remembered from the preview before. So.
Well, then we should assume he wins then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, no, that'd be
one of those people is going to win. One of the people they featured.
Well, I want to go back and watch the Ghost Island one now because I don't know that
Wendell talked. They just showed him in that one shot that I noticed because he just.
But he's that kind of guy where you can just tell by looking at him how awesome he is.
Yeah,
and that he's gonna win.
He was pumped in the shot. It was almost like.
Yeah, I think there was just like a slow-mo shot of him. I don't think he said anything.
It was a close up on his face, and he was going like he was cheering like "woo,"
Okay.
Like, and his mouth was open.
That's enough.
Yeah,
that's enough. Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah. Anyways. Anywho.
Do you have anything else to say? We don't have any predictions to make.
No predictions. Who's your MVP for the season? No, I'm just kidding.
The guy who got most of my MVPs during the actual season and ended up winning the season?
Chris Noble, my MVP for the season.
He's probably a lot of people's MVP for the season.
Without him,
his episode is one of the best episodes in a long time. And
it's the best episode of the season, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure.
The merge. Yeah, I think the season would have sucked without him.
It would have been not as fun. That's for sure.
Chris Noble MVP.
Okay. Well, there you go.
It's settled.
It is done.
Yeah, what else do we do? No predictions. Do you have a prediction for who is winning Goliath versus David?
No, I mean, I don't know. I haven't even seen all the people. They're not even all spoiled yet. Like on Inside Survivor, they don't even know like who the last person is.
Okay.
They're slacking on their knowledge, their intel.
How dare they?
I know. The season's done and you don't even know who's on it. Whatever.
Okay, well. Is that it?
Do you want to talk about the rumors out there for season 38, or should we wait that because that's so far away?
Well, let's talk about it.
Well, the rumors, I don't know if it's a rumor, if it's confirmed, but that they are doing another captain season. So they're bringing back 4 returning players and 16 new players.
I can dig
no one knows the theme yet, but you and I just have discussed a day 38 season, and maybe this could be that. Do you think?
Yeah, I certainly think that's possible. Like a David Wright or a Kelly Wentworth or who else?
All they need is 4.
You had to have thought of a couple more. I mean, I'd love to see Rob Sesternino, but he's not coming back.
Yeah, he never would. Well, I thought Malcolm, but he just played again so recently. I think if you have an older, okay, the ideals would be Suri, Rob, Wentworth, and Malcolm. That's what I would pick.
That would be like the perfect season.
Yeah, because you have two old school guy and girl and two newer school guy and girl, robbed goddesses. But I don't think two of those. I think Suri would come back, and same with Malcolm, but I don't know if they'd come back so soon after Game Changers. So to me, the only one of those that is likely is Wentworth. So
Yeah,
David Wright, maybe Kelly Wentworth and David Wright. The other two, I don't know.
Yeah, I think those two are a lock pretty much,
Yeah.
and then you just gotta come with two more.
Yeah, which I would think Sydney would be an awesome one.
Oh yeah,
But I don't know how connected she is and if she would come
definitely
back.
seemed to be jaded by the
Yeah.
experience and kind of I don't know if she'd do it again.
Exactly, which is a bummer because I loved her.
Yeah, she was
And
good.
I don't know, for another guy. A lot of people were putting out like runner-ups, like Chrissy and Carolyn and Dominic, but I didn't like that because that's not day 38. That doesn't fit my idea, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know though.
So when does Alone start?
Alone starts on June 14th. And apparently you can already watch the video about making the cut, like the new meeting the cast, basically.
Oh, okay.
That's out there.
Cool. Well,
already.
I don't know. I don't get too into the like preseason hype. I like to just jump into it.
I don't think we need to even do a preseason podcast.
Other than Survivor, I like to get in the hype for
well, you get a lot of I guess you get a lot of info with Alone too, but I don't think we need to do a preseason podcast. We'll just dive right in when that one starts.
And yeah, should we just save our winner picks till after we know what happens in episode 1 or something?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, by then one person will be gone, but that's okay.
That's fine. It kind of gives you a better sense of how things are going to go, so you're not just shooting blind, you know?
Yeah. I know who I'm picking to go home first, but...
Who's that, Larry?
No, Larry's going to win. No,
Larry proved himself to be
a worthy competitor. But there's a lot of people on this cast who are very worthy. Mm-hmm. Except for Britt, who I think was the first one to go home in season 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the first one to go home again.
Yeah, I don't know what makes him think he's going to last this time.
I don't know.
I don't know that he was first. I don't think he was.
Maybe he was second.
He wasn't first, but he was early.
He was really early. Earlier than I thought he was so scared of a bear he wouldn't even spend a night out there.
It's basically what it was. Was just one night? I don't know if that was the same guy. Anyway,
maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
Yeah, so Alone, I'm gonna be covering that show.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm worried for their health that they were out there for a long time because we haven't had a season of Alone in a year.
So that you mean that's because they were gone so long?
I'm wondering, or else maybe it's just a programming thing. I hope they know better, but maybe they were in a more plentiful place. I don't know.
Right. How you liking Westworld so far?
I thought it was on a really good roll there, and this
are you as big into the Shogun stuff as I?
Yeah, I love the Shogun stuff.
No, sorry, as everyone else, I'm not. Like I wasn't feeling that episode when they introduced it.
I love that episode. I was disappointed this last episode to see that. I mean, 2 of those characters aren't going to be on anymore. Like, I get all excited for them to be on, and then they're just not going to be on anymore. Okay. That's the one thing I don't like about Westworld.
Which characters are you talking about?
The Ronin guy and the Akane, the geisha, and the guy from Lost, Dogen.
Yeah, what happened to them?
They just said they were going to stay behind. They weren't going with her, Maeve.
They decided to stay behind, okay.
But hopefully they'll show up again, I hope. But anyway, one thing I don't like about Westworld is that there's so many characters, and some of them you see for like a hot second, and you're like, oh yeah, that person. Oh yeah, that person. And I don't know. I guess it's necessary, but this last episode I found a little bit. I mean, there were good parts, but I was a little more frustrated by it. I'm frustrated by this Ghost Nation stuff because I really am into it, and I want to hear more about what the Ghost Nation is. But they just give you like little teases, like, oh, you're meant to be on the same path. And that's it for like 2 weeks. Like, come on, just give us the details here.
Yeah, I was not as into the last episode myself, but I thought it ended pretty strong. It left me being like, oh, I want to
Yeah.
see what's going to happen there, you know?
They're really into these abrupt cliffhangers this season.
It worked on me. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
when's the next one come out?
You knew who it was gonna be though, right? Like you
Yeah.
knew.
Oh,
You were
well,
thinking.
yeah, I knew who it was. It's just like I want to keep
You want
going.
to Yeah, you're right.
Good
Okay.
sign. It's a good
Me
sign.
too. Well, only a few days.
I'm also like surprised that, you know, having seen season one, they still have the ability to completely lose me. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
I,
yeah.
yeah, just like the last couple episodes, I'm like, I'm lost again. I have
Yep.
no idea what's going on. Like, not
Yep.
a damn clue. What the
Like it
hell's
took
going
me
on?
forever when they saw, spoiler alert if you haven't watched Westworld, I guess I'll put that in the description of the show. But you know that I was so lost. Like I knew he was gonna see Ford, but I was like, so what? This could be in the past. I don't understand what's happening. It took me like reading stuff about the episode to realize what Bernard was even in, like what the cradle was and what he was walking around and seeing, because they jump around in timelines so much that I was just, I guess, not paying close enough attention to understand this isn't just a past thing. This is a backup mind. Like it's a
Yeah,
lot.
see, that made sense. That part made sense to me. It's more just
It
like,
makes sense to me now that I know it, but like because they jump around so much, I was just kind of not
oh,
all the way
I
hooked
could
in.
totally see how you could, yeah, think, oh, this is a flashback, and not remember that Bernard had just had his brain ripped
How
out.
many freaking times have we seen Dolores walk out of that saloon and pick up the can of paint? Like that could be any system, any moment, any decade. I don't even know.
Well, I guess that scene with Bernard on the train as an intro is kind of like that already feels different. You never see Bernard on the
Yeah,
train.
now it's true. Like I was vaguely aware what was happening, and I knew that Ford being there meant he was not. He was like a host, or he was artificial.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm just more lost in the big picture. Like I'm just like,
oh
where's
yeah,
all this going? What the hell's going on?
that's why I like Maeve's storyline, because Maeve's storyline is
Very straightforward.
A to B to C to D, like you get it.
Yeah, hers
And
is
there's
like,
bad guys, good
gotta go
guys.
get my daughter.
And it totally, like, I was not shocked at all to see that her daughter had a new mom
Saw that coming. Yeah.
why would she not have a new mom? She's just out there by herself?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on,
uh,
Maeve.
yeah, but going back watching season one of that show is awesome because like everything does start to click into place. But
Yeah.
then I'm watching season two thinking everything's gonna make more sense. It doesn't.
Well,
I think it would if I kept rewatching season two and season one. I think it's a show you just got to keep rewatching and everything
Well,
just
I
starts to
think season
gel.
2 is its own thing, and if you went back and rewatched season 2, then it'll make sense. And I have faith that they know what they're doing, but sometimes they get a little bit up their own ass about it.
Yeah, it gets a little murky.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Anyways, there's a little free Westworld recap at the end for you.
Sorry.
Hopefully, we didn't spoil too much for anybody who was just like couldn't get to their phone to turn this off. You know.
If we did, I apologize.
Yeah, sorry about that. Anything else?
No.
Another season of Survivor in the books, Catie.
Unbelievable.
I know we're a week late on this one, but I think we made it. We got in every episode this season at some
Yeah,
point.
we were good up until now, but that's really my work schedule changes Memorial Day weekend, so that's my fault, or my work's fault.
Things going on, but
Yeah.
for both of us that we just couldn't land on a day to do it, you know?
Yeah.
So finally just made it happen today.
Right.
Even though I was freaking wiped today from work, but like, you know, the human
Well, we
body
appreciate you powering through.
the human body's resilient, man. Like earlier today I thought I was going to go home and die, but now you know,
Yeah.
I'm getting through a podcast, so
Wow. Yeah. Almost a whole hour too. So
yeah, not bad. All right, well, that'll do it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at TV is our real mom. Give us a click on the thumbs up, the subscribe, and go ahead and leave a comment. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
bye.